The energy around you is obvious. Do you feel it? The shift, the pull, the weight of eyes on you before you even step into the room. People are not only noticing you, they are fascinated. Your presence is not background noise. This is the primary event. Conversations bend towards you. Curiosity persists in unfamiliar places. And your name is being mentioned in rooms you are unaware of. You're not seeking attention. You are the focus. While others switch modes and press their way into the forefront, you remain unshaken, magnetic. They can't stop themselves from watching, admire, whisper, and obsess. It is not about what you say. It is how you move. People can't take their eyes off you because you exist so unabashedly. And here you are. The moment is yours. The world is talking about you. The only question remains, what are you planning to do with that power? Magnetism is not based on effort. It's about the essence. Some attempt to capture attention, while others just become the focus of it without making a single deliberate action. There is no need for huge gestures, loud announcements, or a dominant presence. It's the unwavering ease with which you exist that grabs unprompted attention. The room moves. Conversation falters for a minute, and whether consciously or unconsciously, people notice. It is not coerced. It's an irrefutable vibe, a mark that remains long after you've left. A presence like that is neither taught nor borrowed. It's ingrained and unmistakable, and that easy authority makes you memorable. Surface-level attraction diminishes. What lasts is an impression on the soul. It's more than simply aesthetics. It's the unsaid force of energy that transforms brief looks into fixations. Some individuals enter a room and go undetected, while others chisel themselves into memory without saying anything. The seriousness of honesty, the calm assurance, speaks louder than any practiced line or staged look. Not everyone gets it. Nonetheless, everyone is drawn to it. It's what makes adoration inevitable. It captivates, intrigues, and has an indescribable presence that stays long after you've gone away. What is really astonishing is the unpredictable nature of attraction. It does not adhere to a single plan. It is not restricted to any certain sort of person or inclination. It's a power that travels through various hearts in unique ways. Some are attracted in by the mystery surrounding your presence. Others, you flout expectations without seeking acceptance. Some appreciate from a distance, questioning why they keep returning in mind. Even those who first fought, confident they wouldn't be influenced, became enmeshed in an unwavering awareness of your presence. The transition is slow, perhaps unnoticeable at first, but unavoidable and complete. It derives from the simple fact that you never sought attention. You just become the kind of presence that requires it, without saying a single word. Then there are some who stay on the edges and simply observe. They see how places form themselves around you, how people naturally draw toward you. Your presence has an impact that you may not be aware of. They say nothing, but the knowledge persists. They notice that your absence is felt as much as your presence. How talks alter slightly when you are not present. How adoration grows in the quiet moments between exchanges. It's never about pursuing. It is about inevitability. People are looking for something unique, something that cannot be readily categorized or copied. And that is precisely why, whether they want to or not, people continue to seek you out. If your heart is overflowing with God's blessings, let that love radiate. Click the huge thank you button and donate $50 or more to sow seeds of faith that will touch countless lives. Your giving exemplifies His richness. Be a channel for His grace, and watch His kingdom grow through you. You did not pick me, but I chose and assigned you to go and produce fruit. Fruit that lasts. John 1516. Allow me to tell you something. Favre is not at random. Some individuals go through life undetected, fading into the background, but not, you know. You were termed selected and set aside. Ever seen a lighthouse in the midst of a fierce storm? That's you. Not lost in the commotion, not swayed by the winds, but standing steady and shining in a manner that cannot be overlooked. And that kind of presence, it affects humans. It agitates them. It disturbs them because you don't just exist. You move. See, there's a reason people can't get you out of their minds. You dwell in the space. They do not grasp the queries they are unable to answer. Most people like items in nice little packaging, clearly defined and predictable. But you disrupt the routine, slipping through their fingers like water, leaving them seeking, wondering, and searching after something they don't even completely grasp. And it is what makes you memorable. They strive to figure you out, hoping that if they get near enough, they will finally comprehend what makes you unique. But the minute they believe they have you, the moment they feel they know you, that's when the image changes. You don't move like the others. You do not follow the script. You are unwritten. They sense your presence even before they hear your voice. Your warmth transforms into a fire in a single minute. They want to sit close to the next person. You're the deepest ocean, impossible to quantify, impossible to anticipate. And that is why people remain fascinated. It is not about being loud. It is not about seeking attention. It's the mystery, the weight of something larger than they can comprehend. The feeling that there's more to you than meets the eye. And when people don't comprehend something, they tend to do one of two things. They either dread or adore it. Some will be in wonder, lured in by your brilliance. Others will attempt to challenge you, seeking to pull you down to a level they can understand. But neither alteration represents the reality. You were picked. You were not created to fit in. You were not meant to be understood by everyone. You were created to stand out. And that is why people are unable to stop watching. This is why they can't stop thinking about you. Because, whether they confess it or not, they understand you walk with something holy. So, what are you going to do with that power? They watch in quiet, looking for patterns and studying every pause, glance, and change in your energy, as if solving your secret will award them something special. Some will ask directly, certain that directness will provide the answers they seek. Others will maintain their distance, refusing to accept how much you dominate their thoughts. Regardless matter their approach, the fact stays constant. You are the present. They return to the notion that persists even after distractions should have replaced you. What makes its power undeniable? It is effortless. There is no premeditated approach, no performance. There's no need to distort the story. You merely exist in the gap between existence and absence, providing just enough to pique curiosity, but never enough to completely comprehend. And it is why they keep coming back, caught in a loop in which the more they seek enlightenment, the deeper they sink. What is out of reach is usually the most sought for. And even if you never chase, you'll always be the one they can't quit pursuing. Not everyone watching from the sidelines is rooting you on. Some admire, some want, and some despise. But what separates you? You do not degrade yourself to match their intensity. You transcend it. There will always be those who live on strife. Those who try to demolish something they could never construct themselves. But no matter how much they conspire, how loudly they murmur, or how passionately they strive to undermine your existence, they will fail because you do not exist in their realm. Their diversions are beneath you, and their hatred reflects their own limits. When you enter a place, the air shifts. Some people feel energized. Others feel vulnerable. Those who depend on pretense feel intimidated because your mere presence reminds them of what they lack. So they respond by spreading tales, distorting stories, and attempting to throw shadows on something that shines beyond their grasp. But none of this affects you. Their words have no weight, and their attempts are fruitless. You do not have to prove, explain, or defend. While others remain in the same spot, you rise. And as much as they want to see you stumble, they know the truth deep within. They refuse to realize you're untouchable. The irony of every voice wanting your demise. A chorus of support emerges for you. No weapon made against you will flourish, and you will condemn every mouth that rises against you in judgment. Isaiah 5417. Allow me to tell you something. Oil and water do not mix. Have you ever seen rain fall on the ocean? Regardless of how hard it pours. The ocean exists regardless of how fierce the storm is. That's you. The powers of this world may attempt to disturb you, but they cannot alter you, no matter how much is hurled at you. Jealousy, resistance, false narratives. Everything glides straight off because you were not designed to disintegrate. You were designed to stand. And when God bestows favor on your life, separating you for something bigger, no amount of pushback can erase that mark. That is why you upset people. That is why you remain in their thoughts and why your name is used in talks you have never participated in. Some individuals are perplexed by your presence, how you walk with such assurance, how you enter into a room and change the whole ambience without trying. They look at you with adoration, jealousy, and one thing in common. They notice. Let's get this straight. People speak about what's important. Nobody spends their breath on meaningless topics, whether they are loaded with praise or resentment. They continue to disclose the same reality. You cannot be ignored. They may murmur, conjecture, and tell their own tales. But at the end of the day, your presence is felt even before you arrive. That is the type of effect you have. You don't need to prove anything. You don't have to explain yourself. Those who understand it, and those who do not, they're still watching, circling, and attempting to find out what makes you so unique. Because this is what they will not say out. They wish they could have what you have. They wish they had that undeniable presence, that easy attraction. Some may attempt to study you, believing that if they observe long enough, they will discover your secret. Others will confront you, attempting to shake what they do not comprehend. However, it will not work since this is not something that can be copied or stolen. It's a given. And those who act with knowledge, they don't pursue rumors or fight useless wars. They let their anointing to speak for itself. They let their deeds dispel any doubts. They keep increasing. So let them chat. Let them ponder. Allow them to waste their breath. Because they all know the same reality, regardless of what they say or project upon you. You aren't like the others. And once you accept that, when you stop caring about little minds and small words, you will be able to tap into your actual strength. That's when you stop explaining. Stop fading. Stop apologizing because you were picked. You were never intended to blend in. You were supposed to stand, to lead, to be remembered. And now, the whole world is watching. Now that your name has appeared in areas you have yet to visit, there is just one thing left to do. Own it. Impact is not something that should be publicized. It simply happened. Most individuals are busy crafting a persona, pursuing attention, or wanting confirmation, but you move differently. Theatrics and forceful influence are unnecessary. Your presence is sufficient without effort or aim. You leave an impression that lasts. It is not about gaining attention. Nonetheless, eyes are always drawn to you. The difference is that what you contribute is authentic, unfiltered, unrehearsed, and hard to replicate. Confidence without arrogance. Present without overexposure. People are left interested, as if they had just touched the surface of who you are. That force, that subtle gravity, is what keeps the discussion focused on you. The proof. True influence does not need proximity. Your name circulates even when you are not present. And that kind of presence, it cannot be made. Certainty speaks louder than words. It's not about volume, domination, or having to prove anything. It's a consistent, unmistakable power. Confidence is not shown. It is embodied. It manifests itself in movement via the way energy is stored and the easy ability to command attention without demanding it. Some people enter a location and then fade into the background. Others do not need to talk to be heard. That is the difference. People don't just notice. They seem to be able to sense it. The way a look remains steady before moving away. Silence has weight in a discourse. The way confidence exudes even when no words are said. It isn't always about looks or prestige. It's about being present, about self-carrying, as if the issue of belonging never arises. That's why adoration is unavoidable, because confidence is inherently magnetic. Desperation repels, but self-possession pulls people in. There is a dramatic difference between people who seek approval in every environment they enter and others who operate as if validation was never required. When confidence is internalized, the environment responds appropriately. Watch how attitudes change. When someone ceases performing, seeking, and compromising in order to be accepted, the transition isn't about becoming anything different. It's about accepting what was always there. The moment someone stops expressing themselves, diminishing their presence, and dimming their vitality for the sake of others, the world begins to pay heed. That is the key. Confidence is not cultivated. It's truly being utilized. And once it is, everything falls into place smoothly. The proper connections, chances, and experience all seem to gravitate toward people who move with confidence. Confidence is not a characteristic, it is a frequency. And once it's locked in, there's no need to pursue anything. Everything begins hunting you. You are the light of the planet. A city located on a hill cannot be concealed. Matthew 514. Allow me to tell you something. When a lighthouse sits on the coast, it does not beckon ships to notice it. It does not flicker. It is bright, and I am hoping that someone will notice. It just glows. It does what it was designed to accomplish. As a result, ships from far away are pulled to it, steered by it, and watched over, whether they acknowledge it or not. That's you. You don't need to pursue. You don't have to beg. You don't have to seek out recognition. Your very presence compels attention. Some will approach you freely, unable to resist the lure. Others will pretend they do not see, act as if they don't care. But deep down they do. They always do. See, some individuals will wear their appreciation like a badge. They are bold, forthright, and not hesitant to express their respect. They'll move forward, eager to stand close. I am hoping to find a way into your universe. They'll reach out, make it known, make their interest evident. However, there are many who remain mute. The ones that pretend not to notice you, but keep searching. Those who repeat your statements long after you've forgotten the talk. They won't confess they're watching, but their behaviors suggest otherwise. They lurk in the background, waiting for the slightest indication that you see them, that they are important to you. Of course, some people go above and above, whose curiosity evolves into something else completely. They don't only admire, they study. They do more than simply watch. They have a mirror. Some will strive to befriend you in order to discover what makes you so appealing. Some may attempt to mimic your movements, taking your words, energy, and presence as if they can duplicate something that was never intended to be copied. And some will battle the attraction, telling themselves that their resistance implies they are unaffected. But they are. You don't go into the presence of something indisputable and leave unaffected. Whether it's adoration, competitiveness, or even jealousy, the result is same. Your presence lingers, because this is what they refuse to acknowledge. Once someone has sensed your energy or stood in your light, they cannot unsee it. They cannot ignore it. And whether they praise it or fight against it, they are still responding to it. And you don't need to do anything but keep shining. Continue to stand tall. Continue to be precisely who you were meant to be. Because a lighthouse does not need to pursue ships. It does not need to prove itself. It just is. And this alone is enough to bring the globe closer. But here is the reality. Not everyone who comes to you deserves access. Some appreciate with pure intentions, enjoying what you provide without any expectations. Others, they perceive you as something to eat, something to own, and something that validates them via affiliation. The trick is to understand the difference. Those who respect you will never expect more than you voluntarily provide to those who do not. They'll try to drain you gently, drawing on your energy and attempting to drag you into their world of noise. And that is why you have the power. Every gaze, communication, and effort to get closer to you is entirely at your discretion. Attention does not equate access, and adoration does not imply entitlement. They may desire you, but it does not imply they understand you. Not because of a game or a technique, but because your attention is diverted to your own personal development. Moving on your own time, responding only to the road you've constructed, which makes you even more difficult to approach. Moving in alignment with your mission changes everything. Struggle is often a symbol of defiance, of pushing something that was never intended to remain. Things that are eagerly chased tend to slip away, yet what is aligned always finds its way. True mobility is not about force. It's about the flow. It's about entering a realm where effort seems natural and doors open without having to be pulled apart. Imagine a river pushing everything in its path. Undeniable, unshaken. This is what occurs when alignment is welcomed. The weight of useless struggles fades away to be replaced with clarity, direction, and a confidence that requires no confirmation. The right connections, the right opportunity, the perfect times. They emerge not by force, but because the energy has changed to welcome them. The instant resistance is overcome. Everything starts to move like it was always intended to do. I am now trying something new. It bursts forth. Do you not sense it? I will construct a path across the woods and rivers in the desert. Isaiah 4319. Listen, when God moves, He does not seek permission. When He changes things in your life, He does not wait for your consent. He is not consulting your comfort zone. He isn't checking in to see whether you are ready. Know when God is clearing space, creating room, or calling you higher. He doesn't care what you believe you're losing because He knows what He's going to replace it with. However, most individuals are unwilling to surrender what they have in their hands, even if it is empty. They stick to what they know and are comfortable with, to the things that formerly served them. However, people no longer persuade themselves that remaining in the same location is safer than venturing into the unknown. But allow me to tell you something. Comfort is a cage. Just because something seems secure does not imply that it is proper. Just because something seems familiar does not imply it will remain. Growth requires release. You can't move into the fullness of what God has for you while holding on to something that was never intended to stay. And here's where trust comes in. The type of trust that says if it leaves, it's not mine to keep. The kind of faith that stays steady when doors shut. Knowing that every rejection is really a reroute to something better. Because this is the truth. What is actually intended for you will never make you beg. It will not need you to shrink. It will not force you to sacrifice your value merely to maintain it. If you have to pursue it, persuade it, or lose yourself in order to keep it, it was never meant to be yours. That is not alignment. That is desperation. Desperation, rather than purpose, will drive you into chaos. But when you walk with confidence, you know that what is yours will always find its way to you. Suddenly, everything changes. Right people, right opportunity, and right doors. They start to open, not because you forced them, but because you became the version of yourself who was prepared to accept them. That is the power of faith. That is the power of alignment. So quit holding on to what is already gone. Stop struggling to maintain something that God is attempting to remove. Stop confusing stagnation for stability. Because the more you hang on to what isn't intended for you, the longer you'll miss out on what is. If you want to see what fresh things God is working in your life, you must be ready to let go of the past, trust the process, and see what occurs when you eventually create space. So quit clutching onto things that want to depart. Stop rejecting changes that were intended to enhance you. What's breaking down isn't a failure. It is a clearing. Every stumbling block, detour, and closed chapter is a hint that something larger awaits. Those who remain still face little resistance. It rises against those in motion, those who dare to develop, those who refuse to be shackled by the past. Growth will always include friction, not as punishment, but as preparation. Just as pressure refines, problems sharpen, transforming what was once unsure into something unbreakable. Setbacks, lessons learned, and times that seemed like breaking points. They never intended to end you. They were molding, strengthening, and forging you into someone who no longer has to pursue, because everything that is meant to be will find you just where you are. Impact is more than simply being present. It's about how others see your area. Most people go through life unnoticed and unheard, adrift in a world that seldom pays attention. And then there's you. It's not only what you say, but how you listen. Not only are you there, but you also make people feel understood. That kind of enthusiasm is memorable. Conversations with you do not fade. They produce an echo. People leave feeling lighter, more recognized, and cherished than they have in a long time. It is not about repairing, solving, or stating everything correctly. It's about how your presence confirms that they matter. That is why they return, why they remember, and why they can't get over that one conversation. That only time when they felt fully appreciated. Attention seekers crave the spotlight. However, what you provide is a far rarer true connection. And once you've had that experience, you never forget about it. The reality is that the more undeniable you are, the more attention you get. It makes no difference whether the words express appreciation or envy. Being discussed entails standing out. Irrelevance does not arouse interest, but presence does. Some will tell you stories not because they know you, but because they don't. That lack of comprehension drives their infatuation. The unknown generates fascination. and intrigue keeps you on their mind for longer than they'd want to acknowledge. This is why some people will use gossip to define you. Why would people scrutinize your every action, attempting to make sense of the energy they cannot quite grasp? But here's the deal. Those that move confidently don't spend time correcting every murmur. They let their presence to speak and their actions define them. Allow the truth to emerge in its own time, while others gossip, speculate, or seek to modify your image. You keep developing, rising, transforming into something much larger. Because when you refuse to shrink to fit into their comfort zone, when you morally claim every ounce of your existence, the world takes note. And now the talk is about you. The electricity around your name is unmistakable. The one issue remains: how will you utilize it?